the board and the Imam for allowing us to be here today to do a presentation on Islamic finance. They are not endorsing us, but they are giving us a platform to educate you on Islamic finance here in the United States. And inshallah, we will take questions at the end of the presentation, inshallah. So please hold your questions until the end, and I will do my best to answer all of your questions as well. We also have with us today our local representative of UIF, which is Brother Muwahid. Brother Muwahid, are you in the room with us? Brother Muwahid here, he is our local representative in New York, and he covers many other states. Many of you know Brother Muwahid Billah, so if you have any questions afterwards, please feel free to reach out to Brother Muwahid, as he is, alhamdulillah, from this local community as well. He is going to pass around a sign-in sheet. So if you would like a book on Islamic finance from Mufti Taqi Osmani, please inshallah fill out the form so we can email it to you. It'll be a PDF booklet. So please inshallah write legibly so that we can email it to you as well. My name is Wissam Berjawi. I am the Vice President of Sales at UIF. I have been with the company for a little bit of time, about 17 years, alhamdulillah. And I've seen the company grow from 6 people company to, alhamdulillah, over 100 people, and continuously growing with our different products and such.
Someone blocking that drive with BK17. Move the car, please.
There, is that yours, brother?
79. BK17.
Inshallah. So we will get started on the presentation. As I mentioned, if you can please hold all of your questions until the end of the presentation, and then I will do my best to answer all of them, inshallah. Now, some of you may have heard of UIF, and some of you, this might be your first time. UIF stands for University Islamic Financial. And UIF is a privately owned company. UIF itself is not a bank. We are not a bank, but our parent company is a bank. University Bank is a community bank based in Michigan. We also have private Muslim investors that have invested in UIF. We have been around for over 20 years, and we have done over $5 billion in residential home financing, over $100 million in commercial real estate financing, including commercial centers, shopping centers, medical office, masjids, Islamic schools, and such. And we have also a halal savings account program, which I will get into in more detail. Now you will see here the states that are colored. The states that are colored blue or orange are the states that UIF is operational in. So UIF offers Sharia compliant financing for commercial properties or residential properties. And since our contracts are different, we don't offer an interest contract. So because of that, we have to make sure that our product works within the state laws as well. If we did offer an interest contract, then it would be easier to open up in all 50 states, but we have to make sure that our contract works with each state rules and regulations as well. Alhamdulillah, we are in most of the Muslim populated states as well. So if someone is moving to another state or has family or friends, inshallah, Brother Muwahid will be able to assist them as well. Now, when I started at UIF, we just did home financing. So 17 years ago, it was just residential home financing. And that is our biggest product that we offer. But alhamdulillah, we are no longer just a mortgage company. Alhamdulillah, we want to be the one-stop shop for Islamic financing to meet the needs of the Muslim community. Because as you know, the Muslims, our needs are growing. It's no longer just home financing. We want to continuously grow our finances so that we can do good for our family and for the community as well. And we have other products. These are the products that you see on the screen. As I mentioned, we have residential home financing, commercial real estate financing, vehicle financing, and halal savings accounts. Okay, now each one of these products has subcategories as well in terms of what we can offer within them. So within our residential home financing, we offer home financing for a single family home all the way up to a 4-unit home. Okay, so that is considered a residential property up to 4 units. Could be for you to live in. It could be a second home, which means you are going to live there a few months out of the year. Or it can be an investment property, which is typically to rent out. Okay? We also offer refinancing. So if you're looking to refinance from a traditional mortgage company, or if you are looking to do a cash out, we also offer that, or refinance from another Islamic finance company, we can do so as well. And then last but not least, in certain states, we offer construction financing. So in the states that you see over there, Michigan, North Carolina, Ohio, Georgia, and also Florida, I should mention, we can do construction financing. So if you own the land, then we would be able to finance the construction. Yarhamakallah. So those are the products with regards to the residential home financing that UIF offers. And then we have commercial real estate. As I mentioned, we do masjids, we do Islamic schools, shopping centers, car washes. We do the actual real estate part of the commercial property. We do not do business financing yet. Inshallah, we will in the future. But the actual real estate aspect, we do finance of the commercial real estate properties. And then we started to offer vehicle financing, right? As we all know, car prices have gotten very expensive. Many of the 0% interest offers from the manufacturers are no longer there. Alhamdulillah, we started to offer vehicle financing. Currently, it is in 3 states. Michigan, Ohio, and Illinois, and soon it will be in Texas, and then I hope to bring it over, inshallah, to the East Coast, including New York, right? It's a very big product. Everyone can use it because, the young and the old all need a car, inshallah. So stay tuned. Hopefully, we hope by the end of the year to have it here in New York. Inshallah, we will continue to update you as well once we are available in New York. And one of the reasons why Muwahid is passing out the sign-in sheet is to keep you posted as well of any new products as well. And then last but not least, one of the questions that we get often is, where do you get your money from? Very good question, right? Do you borrow your money from a bank? And so if you borrow the money from the bank and if you're dealing in interest, then why don't I just go to the bank? What's the difference, right? It's a very good question. Alhamdulillah, we don't borrow any money from any bank. We have investors, and we have Muslims like you and I that put money into these deposit accounts. So if you open up a deposit account with us, we use this money to help finance real estate, whether residential or commercial, or vehicle financing, car financing, and we give you a percentage of profit back. It is a profit sharing account. Okay, so the profit sharing account is a profit based on a physical asset. We have been financing for over 20 years, so we have a record of what our returns have been. So with that, if you are looking to put your money into a savings account, let us know so we could assist you. The minimum to open up a savings account is $500, okay? You can put money in at any time that you would like. And you can also take your money out at any time as well. You will get an ATM card, so if you wanted to pull out your money, you could. You have full access to your account at any time. You can download the My UIF app, okay? And you can see your balance there as well. It's fully functioning app as well. So keep that in mind. And that is one of the benefits of our savings account, is that I know many within the community have money in a checking account and they don't want to deal in interest, right, which is haram. But this is a good way in order to do 2 things. You're helping the community because we then are able to finance more property or vehicles, and you're also getting a benefit from a profit sharing account, okay? Now, one of the questions you may have is, a few questions. One is, what is the return? How much should I expect? Right? Everyone asks this question, right? This is very important. If I'm going to invest, what is my return going to be? The anticipated return is around 4 to 4.25% annually. Okay, 4 to 4.25 annually, approximately, is the anticipated return on the investment. Now, I've opened up an account with UIF. I have 2 different accounts. We have 2 different products here. We have a time deposit account, and we have a savings account. They both are very similar or almost the same, small difference. With the savings account, as I mentioned, you could take your money out at any time. You could put money in at any time. You put in $500 today, you put in $10,000 tomorrow. No problem. The time deposit account is you put one amount in and you keep it for a period of time. You cannot add money to it. So you say, I'm going to open up the account of $20,000, for example, and it is either for 1 year, 3 years, or 5 years. Okay? That is the difference. You have a time deposit account or the halal savings account. Either one you can open up. Either one you have access to your funds at any time. Because it is a deposit account, it is FDIC insured by the government up to $250,000 per person. If you have more than one person on the account with you, then it goes up to $500,000 guaranteed insurance by the government. Okay? So it's a very low risk, and you would be able to make a halal profit from your investments as well. So keep this in mind, because this is something that no other company offers from an Islamic finance perspective for you to invest. As I said, minimum to open up is $500. You have full access, and you have online access to your account at any time. Now, one of the questions that we have, when I was sitting here earlier, the brother asked me, he said, brother, what's the difference between Islamic finance, right? What's the difference? Is it the same thing? Do you hold your ear like this, or you hold your ear like this? It's the same thing, right? I've heard this before. And so with that, if we take this analogy, if I'm holding my ear like this and talking to you, this is the right way of doing so. But if I do this, you're going to tell me, Brother Wissam, what's wrong with you? Why are you doing that? Right? Because Islamically, there's a right way and a wrong way of doing things. It's not just the end outcome that matters. Similarly, to give you a different example, if I tell you, okay, brothers, after this presentation, I cannot stay. I have to drive 2 hours back to my wife and kids. You're going to say, no problem, Wissam, get home safely, inshallah. But if I told you, brothers, after this, I have to go back to my girlfriend and kids, what will you tell me? Astaghfirullah, Brother Wissam. Right? But the truth is the outcome is the same. You're going to have the same happy times and the same sad times, same issues and same good times. But one has barakah and blessings, and one has a curse. Why? Because of the contract, the marriage contract. I'm going to give you one last example. A few years ago, I traveled overseas, and I bought a bracelet for my 2 daughters at that time. I came home, I was very excited to give them the bracelet, and when I went to give them the bracelet, what happened? The bracelet was too small. So now I cannot do anything with it. I cannot fly back overseas to exchange the bracelet. So I called up a Muslim jeweler. They said, bring it, we'll buy it from you, and you can, and such. I said, okay. I came down. There was a sister there to help me, and she said, let me see what you would like. I said, okay. What would like to sell? I said, here are the 2 bracelets. She said, I would give you $1,000 for your 2 bracelets. I said, okay, thank you so much, but I really want a bracelet instead. It's not the cash that I want, but I want to give a gift to my daughters. So she said, okay, find what else you like from what she had. She showed me, and they were $800. Now, typically what happens in this transaction, I give her my bracelets, she gives me her bracelets, I put them in my pocket, and she gives me $200 back. Right? Typically that's what happens. But what did she do? She first bought my bracelets for $1,000. She gave me a receipt, and she gave me the cash. And then she rang me up for the second transaction. I gave her $800, and she gave me the bracelet, and I still was left with $200 at the end. Both cases, I would have had $200 at the end, and I would have saved the step. One is Islamically correct and one is not. If we would have traded the bracelets and just kept $200 and made it one transaction, it would not be correct Islamically, because you cannot trade an inferior product for a superior product. Okay? So the outcome doesn't make it halal or not, it is also the process. And in our case, the process and the paperwork. So there is no interest contract that is signed with us. Okay? Very important to know that the process and the paperwork is different. Now, while I have been doing this for 17 years, I am not a scholar or a sheikh. And so it is important that we have scholars that have reviewed the program, that know Islamic finance, right? Very important. If I have a heart problem, I'm going to go to a cardiologist. Similarly, we go to Islamic finance experts that know the Islamic laws as well as know the United States laws as well, to make sure that we're able to get things to work. Because here in America, the mortgage industry and finance industry is very heavily regulated. So we make sure that we have scholars that have reviewed our program from beginning to end and let us know that we are Sharia compliant. And if there is an issue, they let us know as well, so we fix it. Now, these scholars here, you will see Mufti Abdullah Nana, Sheikh Nizam Yaqubi, the late Professor Sheikh Hussein Hamid Hassan, and Abdul Bari Mash'al. These are on our Sharia Supervisory Board. And on my left, you will see these sheikhs have actually used our products for their own home, which gives us a comfort as well. You have Imam Muhammad Majid, who is the former president of ISNA, Imam Zaid Shakir, Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, Imam Tahir Anwar. And if you go on our website, myuif.com, you will find more sheikhs as well who have used our products. And the reason why we say this, once again, is to give us a comfort level of the product that we offer. Last but not least, one thing that UIF does that other Islamic finance companies do not do is after the initial fatwa, we also have an annual audit to make sure that we are still Sharia compliant. So they give us a process to follow and the contract, and then every year we get audited to make sure we're still following that process. Because how do you know that everything is still going halal, right? It's kind of like if you go to, you have a certificate at a halal meat store that the meat was slaughtered zabiha. Well, how do you know that they're still following that process next year and so on and so forth? So we are the only Islamic finance company that does that as well, that has an annual audit to make sure that we are still Sharia compliant. Now, here in the United States, there are three main models of Islamic finance. So if I ask you all, how does Islamic finance work? You're all going to tell me different things. You may tell me profit sharing, risk sharing, installment contract. There are three different models. There is a murabaha, which is a marked up sale. There is ijara, and then there is musharaka. Three different models, okay? And I'm going to quickly go over all three and then let you know which one, well, it's clear which one that UIF offers, which is the musharaka, the partnership. But I want to explain to you the three different models because I want everyone to go home with additional knowledge, inshallah. One is murabaha. What is murabaha? Murabaha is a marked up sale. I buy for $1, I sell it to you for $2, and you pay me back in installments, right? So let's say, for example, this phone here, okay? Let's say if it was an iPhone, it's not, but let's say it's an iPhone and it's $1,000 at the store, okay? So you go to Best Buy says, okay, here's the phone, and you're gonna pay me $50 a month until you pay me back the $1,000. Now, if you drop the phone and crack the screen, you still owe Best Buy the $1,000, right? Because you own the phone and you're paying them back in installments. Similarly, if you sell the phone on eBay for $1,500, you pay back Best Buy $1,000 and you keep the $500 profit. That is the murabaha, marked up sale. The second model is ijara. Ijara is lease to own. In this case, the financing company owns the property, and you are paying them back in a savings, in a layaway. Every month you're paying them a little bit by little, and they're putting it on the side for you. And once you have enough money for the house, then they transfer ownership to you. Up until that time, you do not own the home. So let's say the house is $100,000. You're going to make a payment. Part of your payment goes towards saving money for buying the house from them, and part of it goes towards rent for using their home. Once you have $100,000 saved up, then they transfer ownership to you. Up until that time frame, you don't own the property. Okay? That's similar to a lease to own. So the first model, murabaha or installment contract, you own the property 100%. In the Ijara program, the financing company owns it 100%. The third model, which UIF currently uses, is the musharaka model or partnership model. In this partnership model, we purchase the home together with you, and we co-own it together, and you are going to make a monthly payment to buy out our share until you become 100% owner of the property. For example, let's say the house is $100,000. And let's say you are going to put 10% down. UIF is going to put the other 90%. And together we are going to co-own the property 100%. You're going to make a payment. Next payment you make monthly, your ownership goes up from 10% to 11% to 12%, 15%, 20, 60, 80, until you become 100% owner of the property. So every month your ownership goes up. Now, in this example, initially you had put 10% down, but although you only own 10%, you are going to use the house 100%, including our 90% ownership. So part of your payment goes towards buying out our share of the home, and part of it goes towards the rent or the profit that we make. So UIF does make a profit. It makes a profit on a monthly basis when you use our share of the home. Okay? So similar to now, if you are renting a home now, you are paying the landlord rent for using their home. With us, you pay us a rent for using our portion of the home. That rent every month goes down little by little because your ownership goes up until you are 100% owner of the property. In this agreement, our intention is to finance the property. Your intention is to use the property and eventually be 100% owner of the property. Okay? Very important. We will never come to the house and say, okay, we want to use the house today. Right? This is not our intention. It's very clear. The reason why I want to say that is that a partnership does not mean 50-50, right? Sometimes we think partnership, we think 50-50. A partnership does not mean 50-50 for many reasons. One, the intention is not the same. Number two, the actions are not the same. For example, let's just say we're going to go into a different kind of partnership, a business partnership, which is different partnership than investing partnership. We want to open up a business together. Let's say we want to open up a halal pizza shop. Let's say the brother here has the money, and I don't have the money, but I know how to make pizza. So he's going to invest $200,000, and I'm going to work at the pizza shop 5 days a week and put my hard effort in there. He may say, okay, brother, I'm going to put the money, but you're putting all the hard work. You keep 70% profit, and he's going to take 30%. Right? Doesn't have to be 50-50 because we're doing different things. Similarly, in real estate investing, our intention is different. Our intention is to finance the property. Your intention is to use it and eventually become 100% owner of the property. So that is how our program works from a Sharia perspective on our partnership agreement. Now, the steps towards purchasing a home. If you're looking to purchase a home, the first step is to call Brother Muwahid to get pre-qualified. So we give you a pre-qualification or pre-approval letter. You take this letter to your real estate agent that says you are qualified to purchase a home for, let's say, $500,000 with 5% down. Then you shop around for a home. Once you have the home, then you will come back to Brother Muwahid with the sales contract. He will collect certain documents from you, like pay stubs, W-2, bank statements, and then we will get you conditionally approved. They will be reviewed, the documents, and then inshallah we work towards closing. Most closing in New York take about 45 days to close, sometimes 60 in New York. The rest of the country, 30 days. But as you know here, everything in New York is always drawn out, right? So New York, 45 to 60 day closings. Anywhere in the state, we operate all over the state from, the boroughs all the way up to Buffalo, Albany, and such. Now, the next slide that I want to go over is how to qualify, okay? So UIF is going to invest in a house with you, and so we have criteria in order to qualify you, because this is a business transaction, so we have guidelines in order to qualify. So these are the three main guidelines. So I'm going to ask you all some questions, inshallah, so I'm hoping that you are paying attention, that the lights are not keeping you sleepy, okay? So, number one is income, is what we look at. We look at your income to see that you can make your payment. And your income is what you show on your tax return. Very important. So, if you work for a company and you are W-2 employed, we take your gross income. And if you are self-employed, we take your net income. Okay? So if I work at, let's say, at CVS as a pharmacist, making $150,000 a year, that's what I'm going to take. We're going to use that income to qualify. If, let's say, I work as a transportation driver, an Uber driver, Lyft driver, for example, okay? Initially, I made $120,000, but after all of my expenses, I only make $20,000. So we're going to start with the $20,000 with the self-employed. Now, if you do drive for a living, whether it's Uber, Lyft, taxi, trucking company, you may have certain expenses like business mileage or what's called depreciation. The value of your truck or vehicle went down. We can add those back to your income. So now, instead of $20,000 of income, you may have $50,000 or $60,000 after we add those back. So please reach out to Brother Muwahid so he can let you know what you qualify for. Now, this is the question I want to ask you after I give you the answer. For every $20,000 of income, you may qualify for about $100,000 in financing. $20,000 of income, $100,000 of financing. So if I have no liabilities, I have no car loan, student loan, credit card debt, for every $20,000, $100,000 financing. So if I would like to finance a property for $500,000, how much should my income be? 100,000. MashaAllah, you are all mathematicians. Real quick, that answer. Alhamdulillah. 100,000, right? So that is a rough rules for you to know, what you may qualify for. Now, some of you may make that money, but not show that money on the tax returns, right? Business people have a lot of write-off. So if you have a cosigner, you can add their income too. So let's say if my income, I'm self-employed and my income is 20,000, I add my son who has 30,000, I add my wife who has 20,000. You can add multiple people to the application and then qualify that way. Or if you are purchasing a multi-unit property, has a 2-unit, 3 or 4-unit property, you can use the rent from the other units to qualify as well. Okay, so that can be added to your income if it is a multi-unit property. So keep that in mind. The other two criteria that we look for is your credit score and your down payment. The higher the credit score, the lower the down payment. The lower the credit score, the higher the down payment. Okay? The higher the credit score, the lower the down payment can be. So if you want to put 3% down on a single family home and you have a good credit score, you can do so. If you have a lower credit score, then you're going to have to put a higher down payment. The reason is your credit score gives some indication of the level of risk. Okay? So higher credit score, less risk, lower credit score, higher risk. On a single family home, primary residence that you're going to live in, the minimum down payment is 3%. Okay, 3% minimum down payment. If you're buying a multi-unit to live in one of it, if you're going to buy a 2-unit home, 3 or 4 unit, the down payment can be as low as 5% down. Okay, multi-unit could be as low as 5% down. Now, one thing that I want to also go over, very important, there are guidelines for the down payment. So, I want to buy a house, and I need a $100,000 down payment. But I don't have the money in the bank. What do I do? Am I going to take cash sitting in the boxes and start depositing them? No. Don't do that. Do not deposit cash. All right? So when you apply, we're going to ask you for 2 months of bank statements. 2 months of bank statements. If there are deposits in your bank statements, we're going to ask you where the money came from. So if you work for a company and it says payroll deposit, no questions asked. But if we start seeing deposits, we're going to ask you, hey, what's this $10,000 deposit? What's this $5,000? If it's cash deposit, we cannot use cash deposit. You can get gifts from family members. If a family member writes you a check or they wire you the money, then we can use that, okay? A family member can write you a check or wire you money. We give you a gift letter, they sign it and you sign it, and we move on. Family member could be anyone, cousin, uncle, brother, mother, father, and so on. We don't do any blood tests to verify the relationship, and we are all brothers in Islam, right? So, just to give you some of the guidelines, inshallah, to avoid, because some of this comes up, right, within the community and such. And we also have many generous family members that want to do good and help us move in, and they will give us gifts. That is for a primary residence, okay? Primary residence and a second home, you can get gift money, okay? Primary residence, second home, you can get gift money. Investment property, you cannot get any gift money. You have to have the money in your account more than 60 days, more than 2 months. Okay? Very important to understand that. Second home, primary residence, you can get gift from family members. Investment property, no gift. Why? Because the reality is if you're going to invest in a property, family members are not going to give you a gift. They're going to lend you money, and you would have to pay them back. Now, let me go over what is the difference between a primary residence, a second home, and investment property. Very important, because there's different guidelines to qualify. So primary residence, single family, what is the minimum down payment on a single family primary residence, brothers? 3% is the minimum. You can put more, but the minimum is 3%. The minimum down payment for a second home and an investment property on a single family is 15%. Okay? 15%. But second home, you can get gift money. Investment property, you cannot. Primary residence means you are going to move into the property within 60 days. Right? You are going to apply. So Brother Abdullah, he is applying with us, and he's going to move into the house within 60 days. And his intention is to live there for at least 1 year. Okay? Primary residence. I'm going to move in within 60 days, and I intend to live there for at least 1 year. This is primary residence. Now, let's say Brother Abdullah is applying. He's going to buy a house in Buffalo for his wife and kids. Is this a primary residence? This brother said no. Someone said yes.
If it's the first home, it's not. If it's second home, of course not, it's the primary residence.
Say that again.
If it's a second home, or the first home.
So the brother's saying it depends. If Brother Abdullah has a home already, then no. But if Abdullah doesn't have a home already, then it is a primary residence. So let's go back a little bit. My description of a primary residence is Abdullah is applying and he is going to move in the house within 60 days. Now, Abdullah says, hey, I'm sending the wife and kids to Buffalo, but I need to stay in New York City because this is where I work. This is not a primary residence. Why? Because Abdullah is not moving in. His wife and kids are, but he is not. And some brother said second home. That would be correct. Second home is what it is. So what is a second home? A second home is a property that you will live in several months out of the year. So he's going to visit his wife and kids a few months out of the year. That is a second home. Okay? Unless Abdullah puts his wife on the application. If Begum goes on the application, then it can be a primary residence. Okay? That's how you have to structure it. Brother Muwahid would structure it that way. Put her on the application with Brother Abdullah, and then it is her primary residence. Okay? But if it's just Abdullah, it's not going to be primary. It'll be a second home. The third type of property is investment property. Everything else is an investment property. Okay? Everything else is an investment property. Why do I say it like that? Most people quickly think an investment property is, I'm going to rent it out. So it's an investment property. That is true. That is one type of investment property, that you are going to rent it out. Let's say I live across the street from the masjid here. And now I am buying a house right next door to my house. It's for sale. I want to buy it for my brother. I buy it for my brother. It is not a primary residence because I already have a home, very same home. And it's not a second home because I'm not going to live there several months out of the year. I'm right next door. And so even though it's for my brother, it's considered an investment property. Okay? So you're renting it out. You're buying a property for your child who's going to college. You're buying a property next door. This is all an investment property, not a primary home or a second home. Right? So very important to know this because it will help you in terms of understanding what you're purchasing, how much your down payment is going to be. Can you get a gift? Can you not get a gift? Do you need to get the money a few months earlier? All this is important so that the process is smooth. Right? Alhamdulillah, we've been doing this for 20 years. We are ranked #1 in Islamic finance because we want to give you the best service. Right? We want to walk you through it so that when you're buying a home, while you're very excited, you're also very nervous. Why? Because right now, especially, it's a seller's market. The seller, the house is worth $350,000, is being sold for $550,000, $600,000. Right? You know, houses here maybe $1 million, 1.5. Crazy prices, subhanAllah. So you're going to be nervous and you're going to have the real estate agent on top of your head all the time. You need to close on time. If you don't close on time, you're going to lose your $30,000 deposit and you're going to be homeless and the seller is they're going to drive you crazy, the real estate agents. Right? So we want to explain to you the difference so that inshallah it's a smooth process throughout and we can close on time. And then just I want to quickly recap the different advantages of using UIF. So as I mentioned, we want to handhold you throughout the process so that it is a smooth process, inshallah. We also give back to the community. We sponsor many different events. So if there are any events coming up, please let us know. One of the yearly events that we have, or ways we give back, is we have a scholarship for the children of the imams. We know that the imams, right, they sacrifice a lot. They generally don't get paid very well. And so we want to make sure that we help their children when they go to college as well. So every year we give 10 students up to $50,000 in total of college scholarship as well to the children of the imams as well. We also have very competitive pricing, very important, right? Everyone wants to say, okay, I want to be Sharia compliant, but if you cost more, I'm going to go to a regular bank, right? So with that, we are very competitive. When you compare us to other Islamic finance companies, we are amongst the lowest. And if you compare us to traditional mortgage companies, our pricing is in the middle. You will find some that are higher, and you will also find some that are lower, because we are competing among tens of thousands of regular mortgage companies as well. I like to say our pricing is similar to Walmart. Everyday good value, right? You know, you go to Walmart, you get the product you need at a fair price. Can you find cheaper than Walmart? Yes, you can. Can you find more expensive than Walmart? Yes, you can. But you know you're not being taken advantage of, and you have a great price. And last but not least, we do not charge any monthly fees, any LLC fees. Other Islamic finance companies, they charge you an LLC fee, right, to profit from. We don't charge you any LLC fee to make a profit from you. With that, inshallah, we'll wrap up the program. As I mentioned, we've been ranked number 1 9 years in a row by Islamic Finance News magazine, because we've been rated that and voted on by the community. And as you know, as I like to say, Sheikh Google, with our Google reviews from the community, mainly 5-star reviews. And inshallah, we will continue to grow and improve. Does this mean that we are perfect? No. Do we make mistakes sometimes? Absolutely we do. But whenever we do our best in order to learn from it and to fix it, and so that we can offer better service. Because as Muslims, we should offer the best service, not what we say is culturally just, you know, don't worry about it, those kind of things. We want to make sure we have the best of service, inshallah. And then with that, please, inshallah, reach out to Brother Muwahid for any questions that you have. His contact information is here, and also he will be passing around his cards if he hasn't already done so. I will take questions now, inshallah. If we can have the lights turned on. And I also do want to introduce one of our strategic partners that we have as well as attorneys. In New York, it is an attorney state, which means the financing company has an attorney that has to represent them. The buyer has an attorney, and the seller has an attorney as well. Our strategic partner that has really been great to the community as well is Brother Afar Baksh as well. And so I'm not sure if he is here today. I know his colleague is here. And so he will talk to you about what they offer in terms of services, besides Brother Afar representing UIF in the transaction as the financing company. If you are looking to sell a property or to purchase a property, he's also able to assist you and represent you as well. His colleague over here also speaks Bangla. We also have many Bangla-speaking representatives at UIF. Muwahid is one of our Bangla-speaking financial consultants as well. So please do reach out to him, inshallah. And I will give the mic over. Yeah. Sadaqallah. Yeah, we will, inshallah. I want him to introduce for just a minute, and then we will do the question and answer. Yes, inshallah.
জি আসসালামু আলাইকুম আমি আফার বক্সের মিডিয়া ম্যানেজার আলহামদুলিল্লাহ আপনারা সবাই এখানে বাংলাদেশিদের দেখে খুব ভালো লাগছে আমি আপনাদের ছোট্ট করে একটু সময় নিব আমি আফার বক্সের পক্ষ থেকে এসেছি উনি আরেকটা পার্টিতে আছেন আমাদের ইসলামিক ফাইন্যান্সের সঙ্গে আপনাদের যে কোনো বাসা কিনতে ক্লোজিং করতে বাসা সেল করতে আলহামদুলিল্লাহ যতটুকু সহযোগিতা লাগে উনি একজন আমার অ্যাটর্নি বলে কথা নয় উনি একজন মুসলমান হিসেবে একজন অনেক ভালো একজন অ্যাটর্নি আপনারা কথা বলবেন যে কোনো সহযোগিতা করবেন সব ধরনের সহযোগিতা করার জন্য আমরা আছি এবং উনি যে টাকার জন্য এটা করে তা নয় উনি সব জায়গাতেই এটা করে মসজিদ থেকে আরম্ভ করে এবং কেউ যদি যে বলে আমার এই প্রবলেম সেটাও উনি দেখে আলহামদুলিল্লাহ আমাদের বাঙালি হিসাবে খুব আমরা গর্ব করি যে আমাদের ওনার মতন একজন অ্যাটর্নি আমাদের সঙ্গে আছেন আর কি যে কোনো প্রয়োজনে যে কোনো কাজে আপনারা যোগাযোগ করবেন জি আসসালামু আলাইকুম Yes the Afar box yeah you can
Inshallah. So Brother Afar Baksh is one of the leading attorneys here in New York. his job is not just to represent you in terms of signing a document. He will go through the process of making sure that the home that you're buying has a home that is clear and safe in terms of the title work. So, as I mentioned, New York is separate than any other state in the country. New York, as you know, they give out a lot of violations on the home. You have a sidewalk that is cracked. You have a window that has a lock. You have this. You don't have a permit. You have a stove on the second floor and all of that. When you buy a house, these violations come up. Brother Afar Baksh will review the title to make sure you're buying a house with no issues, so that later on, when you go ahead to sell it yourself, you don't have an old issue continuing on. Or, for example, you're buying a house, you bought the price, let's say $500,000, for example, but there's another lien on it from a different company, another $300,000 that you didn't know of, right? These things come up, even if you think you're dealing with a seller who's honest. Unfortunately, people are not honest these days, whether Muslims or not. Let's be honest about that, right? So because of that, it's important to have an attorney that is qualified to review the whole transaction. You know, very important. And you go look at Afar Baksh's reviews. He has, I don't know, 1,000 reviews or something?
7,000.
7,000 reviews. And these are mixed, Muslim and non-Muslim reviews. So he's a good brother to work with, to deal with, and he's always accessible, always. You know, you have a right to choose any attorney you want when you're buying and selling a property. But seriously, do consider Brother Afar as well. He's, as he said, you know, and he's from the community. He comes here often. He prays with us. He prays with many different community members as well. So he's from the community as well. And one thing is we want to continue to grow together as Muslims, right? There is no better time now than for all of us to stick together from what's going on in the world. We all know this already, right? I heard one person say, you know, because of what's going on in the world, I want to be more religious. I want to pray on time, right? And we have to grow together. That's the thing. One of the issues, and I don't want to bring this sideways to some different direction, but is being more involved in the community, right? This is the way our voices are heard. And we could only do that by sticking together and growing together, inshallah. So, Jazakallah khair. I will take questions, inshallah, and go from there. This brother had, and I'm going to answer everyone's questions, inshallah, until we have until Isha then, inshallah. Yes, brother.
You covered very nicely the overall, the biggest order, but we want to know the details of it. You know, the devil in the details, we say. So, like, what is the exit strategy? Someone cannot pay on time, the late fee, the interest. You didn't touch on those parts. We want to like to know the things.
Sure. So the brother wanted to know a little bit more details about it, right? There's always a lot of details, but they're very. I can give you the overall so that it covers everything, right? So you talked about late payment or what happens, right? So the situation or your contract says this: your payment is due the first of every month. This is when your payment is due. And then you have 15-day grace period. So between the 1st and the 15th, you can pay, no problem, no penalty. After the 15th of the month, you have a fixed $50 late payment fee, okay? It doesn't matter if we finance a home and our ownership is $50,000 or our ownership is $2 million. So our limit of financing is $2 million. So any one of those, the late payment fee is $50. Why? Because from a Sharia perspective, we cannot profit off of a late payment, okay? How did we come up with the $50? We did a study to find out what it costs to follow up with you in terms of late payment. Someone calling you, emailing you, and regular mail. The administrative cost is about $50, and that's how we came up with that $50 payment, okay? That's number one. Number two, we actually don't keep that money at the end of the year. We donate it to a charity, okay? But it is for a way for people to pay on time, because if there was no late payment fee, people wouldn't pay on time, even after the 15-day grace period. Now, we keep going worst case scenario, right? It's not the $50 is the problem. You have a problem to pay, whatever that is. You lost your job, you're not feeling good, something happened, okay? Now, whenever you cannot pay for some reason, the first thing you should do is give us a call, okay? Now, let me backtrack just slightly. One main difference between us and most other companies and all of the Islamic finance companies, we have a sister company that services our contracts, okay? So our sister company called Midwest Loan Services handles our closing matters afterwards. What does that mean? So after the closing, you have your payments that have to be collected and your property taxes paid, your home insurance paid, or you cannot make your payment, you need to contact. Who are you going to contact? In this case, Midwest Loan Services. That's our sister company. You can even give me a call and I can help you out because since it's our sister company, we have access to it and we can see why did my payment go up? We get this question. When your payment goes up, it has nothing to do with UIF's portion. It's only because your taxes or your insurance went up, right? But I can help you with that and explain to you why. Other companies, they sell the servicing. Every few years, you're gonna get a letter. Your servicing changed. It went from US bank to this bank to that and such. With us, that will never happen because it stays with us, okay? Very important. Now, worst case scenario, as I mentioned, you have a hardship, you cannot make your payment, you give us a call, and you tell us what your hardship is, and we do our best to work with you. Sometimes we stop the payment, sometimes we lower the payment, and sometimes we don't do anything, depending on your particular hardship. Our goal is to keep you in the home. When you stay in the home and you make your payments, it's a win for everyone. You keep your promise, and you also get to build your ownership, right? So that is the goal. Life happens, so we do our best to keep you in there. We are not property managers, so we don't want to get you out of the house and have the house go into disarray either. Now, if we keep going worst case scenario, let's say nothing can be done, okay? Then from that point, we will tell you, okay, Brother Abdullah, then in this case, you need to sell the house. When you sell the house, you keep your promise to buy us out, and you keep the profit of whatever it sells for, okay? If we keep going worst case scenario, let's say you don't sell the home, then eventually we will follow state law and the house goes into foreclosure, okay? So it's a worst case timeline and such, but it's not the first thing we jump to. So I'm based in New Jersey, and I can tell you in New Jersey, it's usually anywhere from 2 to 4 years of non-payment before the house goes into foreclosure. Okay?
Once you foreclosure,
Mhm.
let's say you own 60% at that time, and I own 40%.
Mhm.
You sold the property, let's say property price was $100,000, but you sold it for $80,000. Do you get 60% of 80,000, or do you get 60%?
Sure. So the brother is saying, in the case of foreclosure, do you share in whatever it sells for, right? And the answer is no. And I'll explain to you why, okay? So before the foreclosure, you have the option to sell the house, right? When you sell the house and the house sells for whatever it is, you're only gonna give us back what our share is worth. I'll give you an example. Once again, we initially invested for $100,000. You put 10% down, we have 90%, $90,000. Over time, let's say 80% we have, you have 20%, it's worth $80,000. You sell the home for $150,000, you buy us out for $80,000, you keep the $70,000, okay? The house appreciates, you keeping the profit, no problem. Why? Because UIF makes its profit how? On a monthly basis, on the rent. We don't share in the appreciation. When we purchase the home with you, we do an appraisal on the home to see the value and the condition of the home to make sure it's livable. If the house is not livable, we're not able to finance it, okay? Now, afterwards, when you live in the house, you want to make any upgrades or anything, granite, kitchen, that's on you. And when you sell the home, you keep the appreciation. Now, in the worst case scenario, we were talking about non-payment, we give you the option to sell the home. When you sell the home, you're going to keep that profit, whatever it is. Now, if we sell the home in a foreclosure, then in that case, we're going to take whatever our share is worth. Let's say in this case, $80,000. So if it's sold for $80,000, we are going to take $80,000 and you're not going to get anything. Now, because in this case, you broke your side of the promise to buy us out. Let's say it was nobody's fault. Hurricane Sandy came, right? A bad storm, it's not your fault. In this case, we split it, whatever the ownership is, 20-80, because it's nobody's fault. No one broke their side of the agreement. It's qadr, right? So in that case, so depending on who did what, the risk sharing may apply or may not apply. Okay? So I'm going to take his question and then I'll come to you.
Same thing like a fire?
Yes, same thing with the fire as well. When you have insurance, but yes, the same thing with that. Correct. Yes, brother.
I just want to make sure how your company makes profit. Like in regular bank, of course, you pay the interest.
Mhm.
So in this case, how do you make the profit? You don't pay interest.
That is correct. We don't charge interest, but we do make a profit, right? But it's structured on investing in the home. I'll give you an example. Let's say your payment is $1,000 a month. Excuse me. Your payment is $1,000 a month, okay? And let's say $700 is going towards the rent or the profit that we make. Because remember, the first example could be any amount, but just to make the example easy, $100,000 home, you're putting 10%, UIF is putting 90%. You're using the house 100%. So you're going to pay us rent for using our 90% share. You have a monthly payment. Your payment, let's just say, is $1,000. $300 is going towards buying out our share. So now next month, you don't have 10% ownership, you have 11%, for example. But in the first part of your payment, $1,000 payment, $300 goes towards buying out our share, $700 goes towards the rent. That's the profit we make on a monthly basis. Next month, you have 11% ownership. You're still making a $1,000 payment. But instead of $300 going towards buying out our share, now it is $310, for example. And the rent is $690. The rent is going down while your ownership goes up. So our profit is monthly. On a monthly basis, we make a profit. Okay? Yes, brother.
Yeah, I have three quick questions. First is that, say for example, if I want to buy a house in March 2025, how soon we should contact UIF? And one accepted by UIF, how long acceptance valid? That's one question. Second question, also tell the advantage of paying 20 or 30% advance. What is the advantage?
Okay. So I always suggest that you get pre-qualified as soon as possible. Why? So you know what you may qualify for. When we qualify you initially, we're going to ask you basic questions, and we're going to do a soft pull on your credit report. Very important, okay? So we have to check your credit from the beginning. We run it through our system. We ask you what your income is, we pull your credit, and what your down payment is. We run it through our system, and we give you an approval, okay? Because we have investors as well. And so we run it through their system, and it says, okay, here's the pre-approval or not. Now, when we pull your credit, is very different than the vast majority of other companies, other Islamic companies or traditional. They will do what's called a hard inquiry on your credit report. It will show on your credit report that they checked your score, and your score may change slightly. Not much, but it'll slight. When we do it at the beginning, it's a soft pull. Doesn't show on your report at all, or it doesn't affect anything. And there's no cost to you either, okay? So we do a soft check. The report, credit report is good for 120 days, and so our pre-approval is good for 120 days. You call us back, you call Brother Muwahid back, and you say, hey, now we're 150 days gone. If nothing has changed, he's going to issue a pre-approval again, no problem, right? He's going to ask you, anything changed with your credit? Did you get any new liabilities? Did you get a new car loan? Stuff like that. Nothing changed? We'll issue the new pre-approval. If you're going to buy in March of 2025, you may want to get pre-qualified now just to get an idea that you're going to qualify, or what may come up on your credit that you're not aware of, right? And then you know for a whole year what you may want to do and go from there. And then the last question, how much, yes, the more you pay as a down payment, the better it is for you, okay? So yes, you can put 3% down, which is fine, no problem. But the more you put, the lower the monthly payment is, okay? Lower the monthly payment, so it saves you money as well. So the more you can put, the better. Now, there's also no prepayment penalty. What does that mean? You put whatever amount down. You put 3% today. Next week, you win the halal lotto, okay? You win the halal lotto, and now you want to put 50,000, 100,000. You want to pay it off. No penalty the next day at all, okay? You could make extra payments every month too. So if your payment is $2,000, you want to make an extra $200 payment to buy out our shares faster. So instead of it being a 30-year term, it is now 20-year, 15-year, 10-year. You could make extra monthly payment. Or once a year, $50,000, $100,000 payment, you can. There is no prepayment penalty. What happens when you make an extra payment? It goes towards buying out the share faster. Your payment stays the same. So if your payment is $2,000, you made an extra $50,000 payment. Your payment next month is still $2,000, but instead of 30 years, it's 25 years or 20 years, okay? This is what we normally do because your intention is to finish faster. You have another option, which is called recast. Recast. You have $50,000, which is the minimum to do a recast. So now you put it towards it to buy out the shares. Same thing happens. But instead of shortening the term to, let's say, 25 years or 20 years, it stays for 30 years, but your payment goes down. Instead of $2,000, it's now $1,700. That's called recasting. So you could do that as well. There's no penalty, but there is a cost. There's an administrative cost. You can do it 2 times for the whole term, and it's $250, okay? Because it's an administrative fee. We have to go back to the investor and get new documents and so on. But so that is an option as well to recast. We don't do that initially. If you want to, you have to request it, right? Because it's going to keep you on a 30-year. Okay, so it's no problem. 50,000 is the minimum, and you can do it up to 2 times during the contract. Yes, brother. Mm-hmm.
Even everybody put 1,000 how much money, how many millions? We don't pay attention, but it's a big amount.
So I'm going to quickly elaborate on our deposit accounts, not because I want to rush, and it's great because we have so many people using this. We have millions of dollars from the community across the country that have opened up with us, right? So this is not something small, alhamdulillah, but just due to the adhan soon. The deposit account is an excellent way to use the money that you're not using and to make a profit. Whether it's a small amount, as the Sheikh said, could be minimum $500 or more, and you can take your money out at any time. There's no penalty as well. What you can also do is, remember, if you have money at the end of the year, or whatever your 12 months is, you're going to pay zakat on it, right? If our anticipated return is 4%, you're going to still be making a profit on it even after you pay zakat as well, number one. Number two, you can also use that money to donate to the masjid, for example. Very important. Let's just say you have $100,000, right? And you have that for some reason, you will have something in mind. At least if your return, let's say, is 4%, $4,000, you can donate that to the masjid and still keep your $100,000, for example, right? This is a way to continuously give to the community without really doing much. We have one brother. He opened up $1 million, $1 million, and he said he's going to give his $40,000 to the masjid every year that he gets. 40,000, donate easy with him sleeping. You know? It's very important. Every little bit helps, as the Imam said. Very important. Every little bit helps, right? This is what we do. Every Muslim is like a brick to each other, makes each other stronger. So do, open up an account. Like I said, I've opened up 2 accounts. I have my father opened up an account, and I work here. So I know if it was an issue, I would say not to, right? But I have, and I can show you on the app. We have a UIF app. Everything is there. You deposit, if you take money out, you transfer money. It's the same thing that you get anywhere else. You get alerts if there's any fraudulent activity. You have to have verification, authorization, 2-factor authentication. All of that is there. We use the same technology as Chase Bank, Bank of America. All that same technology we've used, right? Because we want to make sure it's secure and safe as well. Yes, inshallah.